Alright, hello everyone, this is Crota coming at ya. Today is, well, January 23rd for those of you guys who are on this side of the date timeline, as we are now moving on into game number 2. Still has a current 1-0 lead in this series, as Still has spawned as the blue orc player on the top left-hand side of the map. Meanwhile, on the bottom left-hand side of the map, we have Juan spawning as the yellow undead. Now, Twisted Meadows is a rather large map. There is a lot more creeping available, and I'm really interested to see what's going to be going on in this matchup. How these players play everything out, what's going to be going on, how these players are going to respond to each other, as we are now currently looking at a Barracks, Altar of Storms, and Orc Burrow. Early production buildings now being placed down. WarCraft 3 and the entire role-playing RPTS, role-playing RPSG, the role-playing strategy game genre, something that has not really taken off, but still transformed and created a whole new segment in the world of gaming. WarCraft 3 was the original, I guess, foundation for MOBA. Yes, there was a MOBA style map for StarCraft 2, but it didn't have the heroes, it didn't have the leveling aspects, and really WarCraft 3 and the inclusion of heroes and players just really liking to use heroes and having hero-centric armies just spawned what you see now: Dota 2, Heroes of Newerth, League of Legends, Smite. All of those games really pay homage back to WarCraft 3 and this ingenious system of having heroes. Now, what does that mean? Well, if you have heroes, no one likes to lose heroes, so the heroes are a little bit more difficult to die. Now, compare that to in StarCraft 2, where deaths of units can sometimes run into the hundreds. In WarCraft 3, if you lose 100 units, or even if you lose 60 units, you are pretty much up the creek without a paddle. Things are not looking up and up for you at all. Blade Master now attempting to take down this Null Warden creep camp here, going after the Null Wardens first, knowing that they do deal extra damage because of the command Null Overseer's command aura. Oh, the Blade Master may end up taking a little bit of extra damage here, and there is some extra attack damage being dealt to that Blade Master. That Blade Master having a little bit of a bad day. This could be extremely bad news here. You can see, is it gonna try to steal the attack? The Blade Master doesn't get the experience. Juan, with a Crypt Fiend, was able to steal the experience away. The Death Knight has it, and a beautiful play here, and a beautiful denial, and Juan working just really hard and able to deal a lot more, or simply deny 92 experience. That is an absolutely unthinkable thing for a Blade Master. Now let's come back around. The Blade Master trying to run away. The Death Knight is following it up right there. The Blade Master does have Windwalk, not going to take any damage anytime soon unless he decides to reveal himself, as the Death Knight should not be chasing after those targets. We do have Dust of Appearance on the unit here, and there you go. The Grunts are going to be taking a little bit of damage. The Blade Master now going after the Crypt Fiends, and the Crypt Fiends and the superiority in mass numbers does belong to the Undead army. Those skeletal minions dealing a bit of extra damage as well. The Blade Master already down to 175 hit points, cannot really afford to constantly take that much damage. Oh, yes, the Blade Master now taking even more damage here. This is just bad news as it uses another charge. And you can see that the Death Knight could easily just Death Coil that Crypt Fiend, as the Blade Master still taking more damage, down to, oh my goodness, down to 12 hit points. And now healing salving again. Alright, that was tremendously low. A little bit of natural regeneration for the win on that poor Blade Master. But then again, natural regeneration always comes into play in WarCraft 3, as the regeneration rate is rather high on heroes, and even slightly high on normal units. I believe it's about 1 hit point every 5 seconds. if I'm trying to do my calculations correctly. Alright, Death Knight now wandering around here. We are going to see the Death Knight now hit to level 2, Unholy Aura allowing for faster regeneration off of Blight for these Crypt Fiends. Currently, the Null Overseer will get taken down. I believe the Blade Master may make an appearance. That means that we should have perhaps a Dust of Appearance charge be used in just a moment. There you have it. And now, gonna go ahead and take it down. Picks up a Claws of Attack +6 as the Death Knight now trying to wander back. The Death Knight could easily get off a Death Coil there. Yes, saves that Crypt Fiend from near certain death, down to 244 hit points, down to 209, and now back on Blight where he is happy and regenerating all of that undead goodness that makes up a Crypt Fiend. Back over here, the Blade Master now attempting to take down the Forest Troll Warlord. The Blade Master sitting at level 2 has 2 Circlets of Nobility, and it's really going to come down to this item here. And this is not the item that the Blade Master was looking for. Yes, it is just worth, I believe, 200 gold. But that is it, and that is not going to really be all that helpful. You can now see a couple of grunts are ensnared back down over here. This is just a perfect opportunity to try and clear out the creep camp. Tome of Experience being left behind as Juan taking a huge advantage, clearing out the rest of the creep camp after the Forest Troll Warlord was taken out, and that is a big deal. A Death Knight this early at level 3 means that the Blade Master cannot harass nearly as much. Increasing your heal from 100 to 200 hit points, or sorry, 200 to 400 hit points is tremendous, as we are now looking at the Death Knight looking to regroup. We are getting up to Black Citadel. We should be getting up a Lich. Yes, Lich is almost already out, and we are now grabbing Burrow to play whack-a-mole against those Crypt Fiends. Now, one thing that I never quite understood against an Orc player is why don't you attack the Orc player while they are upgrading and building these necessary buildings. Crypt Fiends have an incredibly long range. They are able to force cancellations on those buildings, but perhaps it's a bit of the timing, since you almost have to suicide your Crypt Fiends in order to take down those buildings. Unlike, say, a human player who uses water elementals and the Quill Beasts from a Beastmaster to try and do a little bit of setback there. Ogre Magi now taken down. Item, Talisman of Evasion. Not that useful of an item on the Death Knight, but I guess any attack that you can avoid from a Blade Master is damage mitigated. Alright, let's take a look here. Frost Armor onto that Death Knight, making sure that that Death Knight does not fall anytime soon. Death Knight now joining up with the rest of the group. Are we going to see this Lich now make their way in? Meanwhile, the Blade Master looking to find a way to take down some of these buildings. And oh, there is a Ziggurat right there. But the Cold Tower is now done. Alright, strong attack now coming in. The Orc Burrow is getting focused down. And this is the exact timing that I expected the Crypt Fiends to try and engage earlier and take down buildings while they are currently being, while they do not have that extra upgrade. Alright, let's take a look. The Crypt Fiend's gonna focus down. Yes, focuses down one. That Orc Burrow could get taken down. There is a Tauren Chieftain, though. And the Tauren Chieftain, that was completely out of nowhere. Perfect timing on that Unburrow, as you now see 2 additional burrows now being added. Alright, no Dust of Appearance. The Tauren Chieftain, oh, sorry, the Tauren Chieftain had Dust of Appearance, did not use it onto that Crypt Fiend, as we are currently upside down on supply, 40 over 30. Gonna be about another 20 seconds before we see any units added. Alright, Death Knight, perhaps his undead sense is tingling, realizing that the Blade Master could be very nearby. And what is happening here? There is that Lich, and what is going on? The Blade Master is perhaps going to try to take down the Rock Golem, and it is going to be a free picking right there. Yes, oh, takes a Golem, a boulder to the head, but is able to pick up the item, which is Rune Bracers. A huge item there, as Juan is just absolutely upset with himself for letting that happen. An item steal of epic proportions, as we now see the Lich with plus 11 damage and that Orb of Corruption, which gives -5 armor. -5 armor plus an Acid Bomb at an additional -3. -8 armor. That's like a 48% damage reduction. That is, or damage increase. That is huge. Like all of a sudden, all the units start dealing 50% more damage. That is a tremendous amount of damage to be had, as the Death Knight still sitting at 3, though. Lich now finally sitting at 2, but the Rune Bracers being given, and the Tauren Chieftain now sitting at 3. I am curious. All right, the problem with the Tauren Chieftain, yes, he does give you faster movement. Oh, Blade Master was able to sneak his way inside here somehow, and now the Blade Master is wandering around here. Acolytes are off to the north. Are they going to move back down? Yes, no. Well, they are trying to move their way back down off into here, and yes, they are going to be back in there. There is the attack again. Another Acolyte gets taken down, and so far the Acolytes are just wandering around. There is that purge once more, so that Acolyte is unable to run away, and now that Blade Master, oh, does have enough mana. Why isn't he training extra Acolytes? He is currently low on gold. There you go. There's the attack, taking down an easy grunt. Ripe for the picking, as now we see a Dark Ranger in here as well, a huge Frost Nova, as there goes a Raider. The Raider, even with Spirit Link, unable to mitigate the damage from all of those Crypt Fiends, even though it does have normal armor. Kodo Beast at -4 armor total takes 22% extra damage. And that 22% extra damage is just tremendous, as you can see. Beautiful, beautiful picking off by Juan. Juan was able to pick off a handful of units right there, and 3 units make a huge difference. All right, oh, there's a Troll Headhunter. Talk about coming out of the building at the wrong time. Walks out of a building and gets absolutely destroyed, as we now see the Orc Burrows with fortified armor. But is it too little, too late? Dark Ranger now looking to back off here. You can see the Destroyer with low mana. The Dark Ranger, what's going to be happening here? No repairing going on as the Orc Burrow gets shut down. Blade Master is still fighting off over here. You can see another Orc Burrow could get taken down. Oh, Frost Armor. Yes, Frost Armor and a heal quickly, as the Blade Master now unable to do much. Oh, the Purge does remove, Dust of Appearance does remove the Frost Armor, so that was a little bit of a nice play there, as we now see more units just getting caught out of position. Kodo Beast trying to eat, and starting to devour down a Crypt Fiend. Meanwhile, the Tauren Chieftain with Stompy, absolutely destroying everything in this path right here. However, a quick, oh, there's another Death Coil. Are we going to get a Dust of Appearance? Yes, we are. Scroll of Town Portal. Is the Crypt Fiend going to be able to unburrow? I don't believe so. Nope, gets taken out, as we see the Kodo Beast still currently getting its munchies on with a Crypt Fiend inside its belly. All right, this is not looking good for the Undead at all. Sitting at 32 over 50 supply. Orc is currently sitting at 45 over 50. And even though Undead is making a rather nice showing, this may not be enough. The Lich is only sitting at level 2. That Tauren Chieftain was able to get off a lot of damage here, as we now see there are no skeletal minions nearby. So this is going to be a rather difficult army to try and take down. All right, there goes the Forest Troll Warlord. Amulet of Spell Shield. Perhaps if it was going up against something else, we can see that the Blade Master is trying to take down all of these Acolytes. We are now training up an additional Acolyte here, as the Blade Master gonna take it down pretty easily. All right, there it goes. And now the Blade Master is just running amok in the back. Crypt Fiend are still slow. That Blade Master is currently stuck right there. And is he revealed? The Blade Master should be able to make its way out. Dust of Appearance not anywhere to be found, as the Blade Master is now currently wandering around. There is some damage. The Blade Master trying to get away, and it looks like even though it is slowed, will be able to get away without hurry. Also, that Spirit Link spreading that damage all the way back to some unsuspecting units who wondered why they're constantly getting poked when they are not even taking any serious damage. All right, let's come back around. There are some units back over here that were hiding, misrallied, still now getting up those war song, or those war drums for those Kodo Beasts. We're seeing at 32 over 50 supply, as Juan now trying to wall off here, but not realizing that, hey, you still got a giant hole off over here that it can easily slip in more units. The Dark Ranger now sitting at level 2. Scroll of Town Portal to head back home, and there you go. There is going to be a straight up Scroll of Town Portal now trying to land on top of all those units there. Here you go. The Destroyer is now out. Is it going to perhaps devour some of that magic? And yes, does devour some magic and does not do anything with it. Not quite sure what that was about, as the Dark Ranger may try to play, just do a little bit of a play here. All right, Blade Master now making its way over. Lich is down over here as well. Blade Master is coming in, running off to the north. as we're looking at the Tauren Chieftain and the Raiders looking to creep out more and more. Tauren Chieftain almost level 5, as the Blade Master is almost level 5 as well. Both of those, if they time it right, should be able to set or get to level 5 and then go in for a very strong push. Meanwhile, the Death Knight is sitting at level 4, and if the Death Knight, if we have a 5-3-3 versus a 5-5, that may even things out just a bit. Level 5 on the Lich would mean either a stronger Frost Nova or a more effective Frost Armor, both which are very, very important at this stage in the game. The Dark Ranger would be not nearly as fragile of a hero, and we are still looking at what's going on over here. There is an Orb of Lightning and the Death Knight, and there you go, finding the units. And are we going to get an ensnare off? Yes, we are, and there is the engagement already. The Destroyers going after the Raiders, and this is a rather strange fight, but you can see a lot of the units were taken down. I'm not quite sure what was lost there. Let's take a look at the total supply. 50 over 60 compared to 42 over 60, with a very, very low hit point Obsidian statue able to escape. That may be one of the things that ends up saving him. Obsidian statues are very, very expensive units, and the fact that it was able to stay alive is tremendous. Lich and Dark Ranger, why aren't they casting Essence of Mana to get more mana onto these two heroes? I don't know. But Juan is actually getting further and further behind at this point, as the Blade Master gets its way or is getting closer and closer to 5. Great Hall being constructed. Tauren Chieftain also having a tiny Great Hall will be able to set up an expansion off here at what I'll call the 1 o'clock position after picking up a Circlet of Nobility, most likely. And that is going to be very impressive. That Tauren Chieftain with over 600 mana at level 5. Meanwhile, we are still creeping out this creep camp down over here. Death Knight picks up a Scroll of Town portal. Perhaps we're going to creep out this orange creep camp here, and that will give level 3 on the Lich already. Where is the Dark Ranger? I don't see it, as the Blade Master is unable to really get inside here. All right, you can see the Slaughterhouse is taking a bit of damage. Oh, Goblin Sappers. Oh, two Ziggurats already taken down, and this is very problematic. All of those, the Tomb of Relics also taken down as well. An Acolyte goes down, and wow, what a change there. The Goblin Sapper taking that down, and still now has a 2-0 lead in this series. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. Hope you guys enjoyed Game 2. Please stay tuned for Game 3.